know how to take pictures, you can just outsource the guys. Like, literally for like $100 to $150, you can get amazing product photography and a just super fully optimized listing off of Fiverr. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what you can outsource.
Hey, what's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here with Raiken Profit. Welcome to episode number 10 of the Raiken Profit Show. And we have a special guest today. This is actually a guy that I met, I think it was a couple of years ago at a green room event in Austin, Texas. We went out hustling, and I still remember him. He was a young guy, and I saw he was super motivated. And I just thought to myself, this kid is going to do something with his life. And then he ended up like doing different things. We didn't really stay in touch. And I heard recently that he started a private label business. And guess what, guys? Carter Maxwell is his name, 17-year-old high school student doing $25,000 a month now, private labeling products on Amazon. So really happy to have you here. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. So you are where are you from?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. So that was what, how far away is that from Austin? Three hours or so?
3.5 hours, I'd say. 3, 4.
Cool, man. Cool. So let's talk about your story. You know, a couple years ago, like I said, you met up with us and the Bonafide Hustler and all the green room members at the event. I remember first seeing you at a Goodwill, and shout out to Jason Clark. He was teaching you some of the ropes and thrifting, and your mom was there. Big shout out to Mama Maxwell. But, you know, talk to us about how you like started with thrifting, and now like how a couple years later you're running this business that's generating $25,000 a month private label, and you're only 17 in high school.
I mean, it was just a crazy story. I didn't first start out on Amazon. I started my entrepreneur journey like when I was really, really young, but I didn't get into online sales until about age 13, I'd say. So on eBay for about 2 years. And then I'd always been subscribed to Steve's channel for a while, for about 2 years, and he started getting to this Amazon FBA type business. And so I started doing some more research. I'm like, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. And at the time, there were kind of two models that were really, really popular at the moment. There was what was known as private label, and then just reselling kind of random items in general, like the books, CDs, electronics. And so I decided, hey, I'm gonna try both. And so I went to private label, and it was not a very good experience. I mean, I didn't have like a course to look off of. I didn't have a mentor that is putting me like in the right way to success when it comes to private labeling. And over time, as I was juggling both of them, private label just kept failing. I ended up starting 3 different products, and each one of them failed.
Wow.
Spent a lot of money, and it just wasn't a very good experience. And at the time, my success rate was selling books and video games and electronics. The success rate was just, it was immensely, it was huge. I would buy a book for like $1 and sell it for 15. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna push private label to the side, and I'm gonna go full time into doing this book and electronic gig.
So you failed 3 times. Let's talk about that really quick before we talk about how you started to have success. Why did these products fail? Can you talk about like what, like knowing what you know now, like what did you do wrong? What was the problem? What was the issue? Why did these PL products fail? And why did you decide to like kind of give up?
Man, the definitely thing was just the preparation. I didn't utilize any of the tools. Like, if you know anything about private label, you know, you've heard of Jungle Scout, and that's basically the software where you do the product research. You can check on competition, and I had like no idea that existed. I just knew that within private labeling, you are taking a generic product from overseas and branding that generic product with your company brand and your company logo to then resell it back on Amazon. Now, I'll actually tell you the products that I had sold. So the first product was,
Yes.
I think it was about a 30 pack of these cake icing nozzles. Okay.
Okay.
It's really good. I looked at the competition, and I usually judge competition by reviews. And I mean, everyone was under 50 reviews. They were doing anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 a month. And I was like, man, this is a really good opportunity. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to bundle together 30 pieces. I think my unit price was around $13 per unit, including shipping. And I ordered 100 units for my first order. So a $1,300 investment for this product that I thought was good. And my intended resale price was going to be $29.99. So what I'd make around a $10, $11 profit, I believe, roughly. And I didn't know how to market it, didn't know what Amazon PPC is. And for those of you that don't know, it's basically Amazon's pay-per-click advertising platform. And so I didn't utilize that. I did get a couple reviews from some friends and family as well, and that helped. But I mean, the sales just never took off. And just the product, I ended up having to sell it for $19.99, trying to blow it out at a break even or losing a little bit of money. But I learned a lot. Second product, God, iPhone cases. I mean, it's one of those items that, man, like everyone's like, oh, the new iPhone X is coming out. I'm gonna make some iPhone cases. I'm like, if it's your first product, you really need to be aware that it's a very, very competitive market. And that was just an item that I thought I could sell because there's just gonna be so much traffic going to it. But when it comes to popular items like that, the big sellers just absolutely just kill you, like Spygen, the just the big brands. And the third product, what was the third product? I'll come back to you on it. I don't quite remember the third product. If
But
I do
it
remember,
didn't.
we should just stop.
So it didn't work out though. The third product, the first product, the second product, the third product, just
Yeah,
nothing.
they were all flops. I mean, one might have sold better than the other, but they were all just didn't work out very well.
And what was the time duration between that first product till that last product that you're still thinking of?
I'd say it was around 2 years ago. So I was in the 8th grade, and it was right leading up to summer. I'd found my first product, and I had it ordered by early June. And so I went through the whole process of selling it from June to July. And then by early August, I'd found out like this product is not going to make me any money. I need to find a way to liquidate it. And then I'd say another month's time, the second product, the same kind of routine, 1 month to 2 months time, this product is not going to sell. One more month of product research again, not utilizing any tools. Third product failed as well.
So you failed, and essentially at the time, did you? Am I getting the timeline correct? You kind of like just gave up, and you said, "I'm going to go into thrifting and book selling," and you did you end up doing that for a while?
Yes, I ended up doing that because I was juggling book selling and selling electronics and private label at the same time. And the way I was making all this money to start a private label was from selling the books and the video games. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just push private label off to the side for a little while
Right.
and go full time into books and CDs and video games and stuff along those lines. It's kind of one-off items.
So how did you end up getting back into private label and now building this business out where, and you can discuss how many products you have and exactly how much money you're making and different things like that. But how did you get back into it again? Because you had given up, you were essentially defeated, right? You probably were thinking to yourself, this doesn't work, or maybe this isn't for me. So take us to that defeat to now getting back onto it again.
I mean, I had that same kind of mindset, like maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm too young. I don't know enough about it. And at the time of reselling books and CDs, it was getting really, really laborious. I mean, I was going to book sales every weekend, Friday nights, having to get those up to go to preview sales for book sales. It was just a lot of labor. It took hours and hours to make these shipments. I'm like, and it's hard with still being in a high school because I mean, you have 8 hour days from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then extracurricular activities. So for me to have something that was more efficient, I mean, I needed it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give private label one more shot. Other people were having success with it. I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And I decided to go do a lot more research up front. I didn't end up buying a course. I learned a large percentage from YouTube and online blogs as well. And probably the biggest thing that I learned that just made me successful is probably using Jungle Scout. I mean, immensely important, especially when doing the product research and everything. Because I mean, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have found that product. I probably would have gone through the same routine of just scrolling through Amazon trying to find a product. And once I'd found a product that I thought had sold well, I still sell it to this day. And it's making me some really good money. And I was just extremely blessed. And that's kind of how my whole private label journey started.
That's really cool, man. I actually had the pleasure of meeting the CEO of Jungle Scout recently in Fort Lauderdale, Greg
Okay.
Mercer, and I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
him on my channel, and he is absolutely phenomenal, and his software is just
Great.
terrific. I have the Chrome extension, the Pro version, and I just recently, because I'm actually getting ready to dive into this private label journey myself, I just got the web app as well. Talk about what are you using for your research with Jungle Scout?
Yeah, so the web app and the Chrome extension are two different things. The web app is more for product research up front. You have kind of a criteria that you can put in. Say you want 100 sales to 500 sales a month, and then you want a price point of $15 to $50, and you want under 50 reviews. You can enter all that. You can select certain categories, and it'll pull down a whole database of all the products that fit under that certain criteria. So it's really like there's like millions and millions of products, and you can literally narrow it down to 50 to like 1,000 products. And so it really, really helps.
Is that how you found your products? I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not. Were you using the web app to find your products and putting in the various criteria, whether, I want it in this category, maybe I want it in, the clothing category. I want it less than 4.2 reviews so I can improve upon it, more than 300 sales per month. That's how you did it?
I can go over that. So what I look for in a product is I like to follow my 10 by 10 by 1 strategy. So basically
Ooh, I like
10
that.
sales a day at
Okay.
$10 profit per unit in 1 day. So my goal is to make $100 profit per product per day. And obviously those numbers can fluctuate. So maybe if you're making $20 profit per unit, you only need to sell 5 units. Or if you're making $5 profit per unit, you need to sell 20. Because what I came to found is that you can find products that make you 50 dollars to $75 like all day long, but I want those products that are bringing me at least $100 per day consistently, like throughout the year, for it to really be worth my time.
Now, when you're looking for products, for example, say somebody's watching this and they're like, wow, like this kid is bright. Like if he could do it, I could do it. Like I want to start private label. They get the Jungle Scout web app. They start researching and looking. Maybe they have a new Amazon account. They're going to be gated off in certain categories, right? They're not going to be able to sell in like beauty or grocery or, various things. Not that you'd be probably private labeling a grocery item, but the point I'm trying to make is there certain categories that you recommend people should stay in when private labeling their first category? What are some things to stick with or kind of stay away from in terms of like types of products?
So when it comes to selling on Amazon, there are restricted categories. You can literally just look up restricted categories on Amazon on Google and find out which ones there are. But there are certain categories that are more popular and have more sellers and more items available. For instance, like home and kitchen, I think is one of the most competitive categories, just because
Mm,
so many sellers go into it. I think I saw an Instagram post and it was about 30% of private label products are in that category. And
wow.
I don't limit myself to just one category like home or kitchen. I think I select all of the ungated categories minus electronics. And the reason I do that is I've actually never sold, well, I have when I used to sell the used electronics, out of every like 10 sales of a used electronic, I would get like 2 or 3 returns. I mean, you probably had the same thing, right, Steve?
Oh
And
yeah.
you hate them because I mean you're getting that item, you're selling, and then they're returning it to you, and it's just a long process. And what I've heard from other private label sellers is when they're trying to sell these electronic items, their return rates go up a lot. People are leaving negative feedbacks on their listing, on their seller profile, and they just say, you know what, it's better to just stay away.
Mm. Cool. Very cool information. So, if you guys want more information on product research and learning about this, there's only so much we can cover because I really want to get through his story. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but he has a YouTube channel. It's called High School Hustler. And I'm going to leave it down in the description, the first link below. I'm actually looking at his channel right now, and he's got tons of cool content. He talks not only about private label, but merch by Amazon, selling books, how to 3x your sales on Amazon FBA, comparing Shopify and FBA. So, I mean, this kid is awesome. There's a lot of awesome information on his channel. So go check it out. First link down below. Let's transition over to like some of your success stories. So why don't you tell everybody again, if they're just tuning in, exactly, talk about what your business exactly is. What exactly are you doing? How much money are you making? How many products do you have for sale? And anything you're comfortable sharing. I don't want to give away your niche or anything like that.
Sure.
And I'm going to turn my light on while you're explaining that.
Awesome. So, as you guys know, I private label. And for those of you that aren't too familiar with what exactly private label is, it's basically the product that you've already done research ahead of time, so which you can use Jungle Scout. And once you've found a product that meets your criteria, if it's between the $15 and $50 sales price, if it has sales per month and doesn't have too much competition reviews wise, then once you found that product, it then comes to finding a supplier on Alibaba, going to different suppliers, negotiating prices on the supplier you would like to go with, generic product with your company, with your logo, with your brand, to then order that product to yourself and then create the Amazon listing and get it sold on Amazon. Access to it. And when it comes to successes, I mean, my first sale was immensely huge to me. It was really, really just shocking. Like, man, I made all this money and Amazon shipped the product for me. I didn't have to go to the post office to drop off packages. So that was huge. My next biggest success was probably my first $1,000 day. And it honestly didn't take too long to get to that. I had a couple of products. Absolutely took the story that I share with everyone, and it just really gets everyone going and excited. But long story short, a trendy product not too long ago, and it was on like a Tuesday. I ended up doing over $4,000 in sales in one day from this product. I think I could have done 5 or 6 if it didn't sell out, but I mean, it was absolutely huge. And the cool thing, sitting in school, I was sitting in a school desk, just like running around the school. I couldn't focus. I was on my phone every 30 seconds, seeing if I got another sale. I mean, I ended up leaving school early and celebrating with my family because I was just so happy that it was life-changing.
So what happened? Was it just trending or something on social media, or like?
It was both. It was just a trendy product in general, and I had been preparing, and it was basically at that peak time, and it just boom, and I couldn't keep them on the shelves. It was just crazy.
So what do you think you profited off that $4,000 in sales?
I mean, margins were pretty good. I'd say it was around a 60 to 65% ROI, I believe. So I was getting these items for around $3 to $4, selling them anywhere from 13 to 18. So I mean, it was unbelievable.
I got a question for you. Do you think there was anybody else in your school? What were you in? Were you in 9th grade at that time, or 10th grade?
That was 10th grade. 10th grade.
So you're in 10th grade. Do you remember what specifically what class you were in? Maybe you're sitting in math class or something and you're looking at your phone. Do you think there's anybody else in your class like making that much money? Like, how did it feel making more money than the teacher?
I mean, that's something I always talk about with my friends. I mean, it was crazy. And everyone knows I do this whole Amazon thing. At the beginning, I really like to stay like humble with my numbers. I'm like, yeah, I sell a lot on Amazon. Like, how much do you sell? I'm like, oh, I like to keep it to myself. And they're like, oh, you probably sell like $100. I'm like, you think? But that experience,
I did that today.
I did that today, just like pulling out my phone and just like looking around the classroom and looking at my teacher. I'm like, this is life changing. Like anybody can do this. I mean, I'm doing this at 17 years old and I haven't even been in it for like a year. I mean, anybody can do it. It's a great business model and it's super efficient. And I'm doing it while in school. So for those people that have maybe that 9 to 5 job, or they're working full time or part time, you can still private label on Amazon. You can still sell on Amazon in your free time.
Let's talk about how much time it took to initially. Well, let me ask you first. You're doing $25,000 a month on average, right?
Mm-hmm.
Profit margin, is it range per product, or?
It's different per products. I have some products that sell for around the $16 to $19 range. And then I have a higher end product that sells for $40. And my margins usually range, if I was to average my ROI, it'd probably be around 40 to 45%.
Oh, wow. So that's around like $10,000 a month just profit.
Oh, yeah.
Almost, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to reinvest into new stock and cool. So how many products do you have right now?
Let's see. I have about 4 products that are like running right now. I have a 5th on the way. And then I'm trying to push for a 6th one before Q4 tries to come in. I'm not sure if I'll get that product in time or not. So I'd say consistently at the moment.
How long does it take for somebody to get their first private label product? Maybe they're brand new. Obviously I think you recommended Jungle Scout, the web app, right, to do the research. The Pro Chrome extension, is that necessary as well for the research?
Yes, I think that is very important. So once you use the web app and you found a product, you could then look up like the most broad search term for that product on Amazon.com. And then once it pulls down all the different listings for that search term, you'll use your Chrome extension and it'll pull down a whole database of the sellers, the prices, the ranks, the estimated sales for that month. And you can just kind of analyze that data and see if it's a good product or not.
So once somebody finds that product, let's just say they fully understand the criteria, what to look for. They've decided, okay, this is going to be a good option. what's the timeline from, okay, found the product. Now you're going to probably go over to Alibaba, I'm assuming, to source. Maybe you have some other strategies that you teach, but what's the timeline from found the product on Jungle Scout? I want to do this, supplier, locating item, packaging, shipping to FBA warehouse. Like, what's this timeline look like for the average person?
If I was to estimate it, I'd say about 3 weeks if you're really pushing it. And a large portion of that is going to be your product research because that's the most important thing. Even if you have the highest quality pictures, an amazing looking listing, if you don't pick a product that's going to sell, I mean, obviously you're not going to have success with it. So that's going to be the largest portion of your time. And once you've found your product, it all just comes into finding a supplier on Alibaba. That usually takes a couple days. So once I found a product I think I want to sell, I'll go to Alibaba and look up the search term for it and contact like 20 suppliers. And out of those 20 suppliers, maybe like 15 or 10 of them will reply back. And depending on if you want to bundle anything of your product, if you want to do any certain colors, it's going to only dwindle down the suppliers. And usually I like to get my supplier range from 0 to 5 before I really start getting into specifics like what it costs to manufacture the product, what their minimum order quantity is, things along those.
So once you get your product up and it's running and you get it selling, and that's a huge process right there. Obviously, well, I mean, there's a lot of things we're not going to be able to mention, but like for example, let me put it in a better way, Carter. Let me put the question this way: how much time do you spend on average per week managing? You have 4 products now. I think you had a 5th or a 6th coming. You said you go to school full time and whatnot. How many hours a day do you spend, or does it differ? Maybe you spend a bunch on the weekend. Like, how do you manage your time, and how much time is realistically expected for a business like this?
I'm a pretty social person, so I enjoy spending time with my family, with my friends, going to social events. So I try to work around that. But what I really love to do is just be an entrepreneur, work on my YouTube channel, work on my business. And so I don't mind working 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day on the weekend. I just enjoy it. But to run an Amazon private label business, you don't need to put in that much time. I'd say on my private label business, I spend maybe 30 minutes a day kind of managing my listings, looking over my ad campaigns, seeing if I received any negative reviews, any customer emails, things along those lines. And other than that, my biggest time portion is definitely probably product research, just trying to find the next product, which is going to be the next thing I can hop on early and make some really good money. So if you were to want to do it part time, and let's just say you had 1 or 2 products, I'd say maximum an hour per day. And people usually enjoy it. And I mean, if it's making them money, they're only going to put more time into it. But it's not a process where it's going to take you, like if you were to sell, like want to go to a book sale, it's going to take you 30 minutes to get that book sale. It's going to take you an hour to find books that you want to sell, 30 minutes back to your house. You then have to prep and ship those books. I'm not going to get into the full process. That takes a lot of time. And for me to be able to just come home, manage my listings, sell 50, 60 items a day, Amazon ships them all for me. It's just a huge bonus and it's really efficient.
Now, when you order your products from Alibaba and you find a manufacturer, are they shipping it directly to the warehouses for you, or are you actually are you having them send it to you so then you can inspect it and ship it off, or do you have an inspection company in China checking it out for you?
When I make my first 2 or 3 orders to that supplier, I like to inspect it myself, make sure everything's okay, the condition, the packaging's all good. And once I've built a reputation with that supplier, I then just hand off the shipping details to them. They label all the products and ship it directly to the Amazon warehouse for me.
Is that hard to do logistically?
Not really. I mean, everything that I buy is air shipped. And so it's basically the same as me shipping it from my house, except they're shipping it from their destination to Amazon. And all you have to do is just send them the UPC labels, which you can just download, send it to them. Once they label it, they're going to obviously pack it in the boxes, send you the dimensions of the boxes they packed. You then enter it back into your Amazon shipment plan and create the shipping labels, email the shipping labels to them, and boom, you're good to go.
Is it kind of nerve wracking after they label it and then it's like going to the Amazon warehouses? Are you like waiting for it to get checked in? Like, what's that like?
Oh, it was honestly the same thing I was to sell. It was about 5 or 6 days, and especially the first time I did it, I was like, "Gosh, if this better work. I mean, if it gets stuck in customs or if it gets lost, I have 2,000 units in this order. If it doesn't arrive at the warehouse, I'm gonna lose out on a lot of money." So it was pretty nerve wracking. But once I got that first shipment through, I was like, all right, this is a good process. And it saves you a lot of time as well. Because if you think about it, if you can cut out that shipping time from you and then to Amazon, you're going to save almost a week because it's going to take them about, once they ship it, it's going to take about a week to get to the warehouse. But if they were to ship it to you, it would take a week to get to you. If you were to ship it to Amazon, it would take about another week. So you're shaving off a whole week, which is really important, especially coming up on winter months like Q4 right now. Sales are really starting to pick up.
You ever have a private label item that's brand new, no reviews, it's never checked in before, your specific private label brand, and it hits the warehouse and just starts selling without any reviews or anything? Like, has that ever
Um,
happened?
it all depends on more depends on like how competitive that product is. But yes, I've had products where I have 0 reviews or 2 or 3 reviews, and it just starts like taking off. And I'm like, how can it be like my competitors have 8 or 9 reviews or they have 50 reviews and I'm
Mm.
still able to compete with them and my price is higher. And one thing that I like to preach is you don't need to have the lowest price when it comes to private labeling. So to take my products, for instance, if I was to compare my products prices to my competitors' product prices, I would be on the higher end of that pricing range just because
Oh, wow.
I have an optimized listing. And what goes into an optimized listing is that the product, I have professional photography and I have an optimized listing. So I have a descriptive title, bullet points and description. That's all HTML, all along those lines. And you can outsource that on Fiverr. I mean, a lot of people freak out. They're like, I'm not good at writing. I don't know how to take pictures. You can just outsource it, guys. Like, literally for like $100 to $150, you can get amazing product photography and a just super fully optimized listing off of Fiverr. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what you can outsource.
Yeah, I know I didn't mention it, and we're gonna talk about it after. But if this guy isn't amazing enough, he actually created an entire course sharing how he does this and everything. And I was going through your course, and I was pretty amazed that on Fiverr, like I do a lot of outsourcing myself for various businesses, but I was amazed that there's people who are actually write like the product listings for you,
Oh, for sure.
descriptions. How does that work with photography on Fiverr though? Like, you have to take a picture. What are they doing? Are they editing it or just like bringing it into Photoshop?
There's 2 different versions. What I personally do is I just send the product to whatever address they are, and once they receive the product, they then take the photography, touch it
Oh,
up,
okay.
and then send it back to me. So it takes a little bit more of time, but I mean, compared to if I was to take pictures of the product, it's a lot better.
So to optimize the listing, you're optimizing the title, obviously, the bullet points. Is there like a back end keyword section or anything like that? Like with YouTube
Um,
videos, you know how you have to create the tags and stuff?
So you can actually buy bundles off Fiverr that will include title, bullet points, descriptions, search terms we can enter in, which is going to be like the back end kind of getting the sales for that. Also, when they build your title in their bullet points and description, they're also like not keyword stuffing, but they're optimizing those titles to where you can be able to get sales to those keywords. And it's just amazing. They go through all 5 bullet points, super descriptive, and it's really just amazing. And also you can include, maybe you want them to make like a whole ad campaign for you. So they'll get all the like 1,000 of the top keywords for your product and they'll send it to you. That was
Oh,
just some
wow.
bonus.
Oh, that's super cool. Awesome. Really, really good information right there. Thank you. What's one thing you love about this business? I have a feeling this is going to be easy for you, but I'm gonna try to stump you with what's one thing you hate about private label?
Ooh. Okay, so one thing I just love about private label is kind of 2 things. It's efficient and it's scalable. So the reason it's efficient is because I'm able to do this in my own free time. Just like when you own your own business, you can run it whenever you want. You can do it in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon. It all depends on what hours and what time you want to put into the business. And also, my one of my most favorite things is that Amazon ships everything for you. No matter if you sell 1 item, 100 items, 1,000 items, Amazon is going to ship all that to you, 2 day shipping to your customer. Now, the reason it's scalable is because if you can get a product that makes you $100 a day year round, that's a pretty good income. And the hardest part is just finding that product. And once you've found that product, it's all about building up the listing, which means getting reviews, answering questions. And usually that takes about a month or two. And so over that month or two time frame, you're building up the listings, you're optimizing the listing, you're getting reviews, people's feedback, stuff along those lines. And then it's kind of like a consistent income stream. I mean, obviously you have to manage it a little bit, but once you get the hang of it, it's just like 5 or 10 minutes each day on each product, just looking over your listing, make sure that everything's okay, and then you're good to go. So those are
Why do you
definitely
love that, man? Why do you only like working a little bit and making a bunch?
because I can work on other aspects of my business. I mean, if I'm
I
not
love
working
it.
on private label and working on my YouTube channel,
That's
I'm
super
really,
cool.
I just really want to be efficient with my time, and I don't want to spend time on things that I can outsource or stuff along those lines.
So let's get to the tough question, man. What
Oh,
keeps you up at night?
So one thing that I don't really like too much about private label. Let me think. Yeah, what was it? What was it? One
I,
thing.
I have I have a guess. What about we had talked about like putting control into other people's hands, like having like I would be worried that like maybe like my manufacturer might like damage some of the items and then it ships and then, like what if like half your items are like damaged and then it goes in the FBA warehouse and then like you know what I mean, like you start getting all these refunds, or like what if they label things wrong, or you know what I mean, like what if like you like we were talking about before the show, what if there's like no guarantees that you make your money, you put all this investment up, and what if it doesn't sell, what if like the price gets chopped in half? Like these are some of the things that I'm worried about.
Exactly. Another point, I actually just thought of it. But when I first started out, something that it was just really hated was how when you create your own listing, you're not protected until you get brand registry. What I mean by that is when you're a
Oh,
new seller, you've probably heard of them hijackers, which are basically Chinese sellers that come onto your listing and try to sell a knockoff of your product. And until you actually brand, so if you don't brand your product correctly, which is one thing that I did at the beginning, was I was selling a decent amount of units and I didn't really brand my product. I didn't have my company or my brand on that generic product. And so all these other hijackers were coming onto my listing and selling my product for like a quarter or a half of my price. And there was nothing I could do to get them off my listing. And they actually just enrolled a program called Brand Registry. And now the only way you can enroll in Brand Registry is if you have a trademark. And I mean, a trademark takes a long time to get
oh
accepted.
wow.
It's a very confusing process. And that's definitely something that I just did not like. I did not like me having to build the whole listing, build up all these reviews, and then just have someone else come onto my listing and try to sell my product and take my sales. So that was definitely one thing I hated.
So is that the only way to get accepted? Because I know there was the brand registry and then there was the brand registry 2.0. Is the only way to get accepted onto that with the by getting a trademark? Is that like they won't even look at your application?
Yeah, you will have to have a trademark. I don't think it needs to be accepted. If it's like still in the acceptance process, they will accept it, but you are going to need a trademark. If you don't have a trademark, you don't have one at the time, and you're having trouble with hijackers, you can actually just call Amazon, and it'll probably take 10 or 15 minutes. You have to communicate with them like, hey, this is your branded product. They don't have the rights to sell it, and usually like 75% of the time, you can just have the Amazon assistant remove that seller from your account. Now, there's no
Hmm.
guarantee that that seller's not going to come back on, but I mean, that's definitely one thing. Definitely when starting out with private labeling that I did not like at all.
Let's talk about avoiding mistakes. If you could go back in time with the knowledge you now have with private label, if we could bring you back a couple of years to when you launched those first what was it? Some that 30
Yeah,
pack that you
icy
had.
nozzles, stuff like that.
If you could go back in time with the knowledge you now have with private label and you know, if you could do things differently, what would you say to yourself? What piece of advice would you give yourself?
To just slow down. And once I first found out about private label, I was super excited. All these people were having success. I'm like, I have to get into it. And I literally just like found my product within a couple of days. I didn't know there was other ways of research. I just didn't really care. I was like, you know what? I want to get into this business. I want to try it. And I didn't use Jungle Scout. I didn't use any of the Chrome extensions, the web apps. I just kind of jumped into that. And I know a lot of people there's two different types of people. There's people that just jump into it right away that kind of know halfway what to do and halfway not to do. Then there's the people that take months and months to find a product because they're super hesitant. Just try to find somewhere in the middle that's good for you. Stick with it, guys. I mean, my first three products, they all failed. And I actually gave up on private labeling for a little bit to go to something that was a little bit more stable. And then finally, when I came back, gave it another shot, I stuck with it and finally had a successful product. And I've been doing that ever since private labeling.
What would
So
you
just
say it costs? What would you say it costs to get started in this business? Like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of young teenagers who are going to be watching this video. I have a feeling this video is going to go viral. I mean, 17 years old, like having this success, like it's just super freaking inspiring. You know what I mean? Like there's so many people who are 25, 30, 40, 50 who like you know, the older you get, you're going to realize like we kind of get caught up in our limiting beliefs. And that's why it's just so cool. You're young and you're doing it. So like, I feel like this is going to inspire a lot of people, but you know, let me ask you a question. What do you think it takes for someone to get started in terms of like money wise, like to launch that first product?
I consistently see it anywhere being around that $700 to around $1,000. Now that fluctuates. It all depends on kind of the price of the product and obviously the quantity that you're ordering. I've seen some people start with $400 or $500 on their first order, and some people start with $1,000 to $2,000 for their first order. Guys, honestly, it's all up to you how much you're wanting to invest in the quantity that you're wanting to order. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. What are your thoughts on the future of private label? Do I hear people say it's too competitive. It's the greatest opportunity. It's the gold rush. It hasn't even gotten started. And then you hear, there's no money to be made. It's like you hear all these different things, right? And I'll tell you right now, I have probably about 8 or 9 very close friends who are doing extremely well with private label. So I know it works. But what do you say to the people who are hearing those naysayers saying, don't get into private label, you can't make money, or there's always people in every industry trying to tell you like not to do things, right? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like the sustainability, like the growth, like 5 years down the road, is this going to be an opportunity still?
And I mean, I get this question all the time. They're like, is private label going to be here next year? It's going to be here 5 years from now. It's going to be here 10 years from now. Guys, it's honestly, it's still going to be here. Obviously, more sellers are going to become aware of what private label is. They're going to start hopping on. But you also have to remember there's tons and tons of new products that are being added to Amazon's system every day. And there's even more people that are entering their credit card information into Amazon ready to buy your product. So if it was at this level right now in 2017, it's going to be at this same kind of leveled out space 5 years from now, and I think probably 10 years from now. Obviously, e-commerce is always changing, and you just have to adjust to those changes. I mean, there's going to be the people that just want to stay consistent in what they're doing, but other people that are learning new methods, new ways of research, they're eventually going to pass you up. So if you can just change your ways based on how e-commerce and how Amazon selling is changing, you're gonna be a lot more successful. So
Do you
I
have any
do see
friends?
it.
Yeah, cool. No, I appreciate that answer. I definitely agree. I feel like it's going to be around. Like this is only the beginning, right? And like things always change. Like if you do what you're doing this year, like 2 years down the road, you're going to lose because things change. You're going to have to change with the times. But yeah, no, definitely a great explanation. I wanted to ask you, Carter, do you have any friends who, I know you're a humble guy and you don't want to go out like bragging or anything. I know that's not your intention, but do you have any friends who like know how much money you're making and like, or like maybe asking you like, hey, can you teach me? Or like, do you find that most of your friends, if they even know that you're selling, like aren't really interested in like doing like something like non-convent, like not normal, like, you know what I mean? Like outside the box.
Yeah, and that's something that I really care about. Like I really care about my friends and sharing my knowledge, because if it wasn't for other people teaching me what to do, I wouldn't be where I am now. And when it comes to friends, like I hate seeing them like working a job. Like they can't hang out on a Friday night because they have to work from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night at a restaurant. I'm like, guys, let me teach you. So not too, I actually got 3 of my friends into selling books and CDs. I'm like, guys, all you need is like $50 to $100 to start. Now they're all having tremendous success. They're all over the at least $1,000 to $1,500 per month, and
Wow.
they're only growing from there, man. And eventually, I'm going to teach them how to private label as well. Once they build up a nicer income, a little bit more stable. But yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I used to be a lot humble. I like keep my numbers to myself. But now that I'm building more of a personal brand on YouTube and everything, it's kind of necessary for me to share those numbers and experiences with everyone. So definitely, I'm trying to help as many people out as I can.
Let him help you out. Go over to his YouTube channel right now, The High School Hustler. Link in the description. If you're on
Yeah.
iTunes, just go check it out. The High School Hustler. He's got a ton of videos over there. So that's cool. Let me ask you a question. I know how hard it is to create a course. You've created a course teaching what you do, private label. I've been going through it. It's actually really, really good. And not to make you blush or anything, but you're a great freaking public speaker, man. Like if I was 17 years old, I would have peed my pants, man, like making a course. Like
Exactly.
it's
It took a lot out of me, and that's one of the things that I got from my parents is just speaking and just having the confidence to just share your opinion and not kind of care what other people think. Because I mean, people judge me and my Amazon business at school, and it's just like, you know what? I don't really care. Like, yeah, you can
mm,
laugh at me, you can think it's funny, because most of them are like, I can teach you how to sell on Amazon. I'm like, why do you need money now? Just like, oh, I have a job, I make $10 now. I'm like, I can teach you to make $50 an hour. I can make you really make money while you sleep. That's my favorite motto. Is I mess around with my friends saying, I make money while I sleep. I make money while I'm at the football game. I make money while I'm playing basketball. It's what I like to preach. So
Dude, that's super cool, man. I love it, man. It's cool. Let's talk a little bit about your course, man, because I know you're really proud of it. You gave me access to it and everything, which I appreciate that, man. It's really well done. It's on Teachable. Talk about what is inside that course, and obviously if people want to check that out, I'll link that up. I'll link that down below. And be sure, if you want to learn it, support them, check it out. But what's inside that course? Kind of talk about who the course is for, what you teach, how it works, how long it is, all that good stuff.
I mean, it's literally for everybody. If you don't know anything about Amazon FBA, private labeling, I mean, the course is for you. Literally A to Z, everything that you need to learn. I mean, it literally took me my whole summer to come up with this. Each day I was working on it for a few hours, coming with the content I wanted to go over, the recording, making sure everything was perfect. And I basically split it up into 7 really big steps that go into it. There's like, I think about 30 videos. And as time goes on, I'm only adding videos because, you know, e-commerce is always changing. Amazon's always changing. So I'm going to keep putting new videos in that course that keep you guys updated. So there's about 30 videos at the moment. And it just goes over everything from creating your brand name to creating an Amazon seller account, product research, contacting suppliers, getting your listing optimization done, all the way to running Amazon PPC. Just a fully blown out. I mean, it's an absolute game changer. You know, I did launch it about a week or 2 ago, and I've already have quite a few people in there, and so they're all kind of the beginning stages. But I'm already getting great feedback that the course is it's absolutely packed, and it's some really good content.
Do you have any a Facebook group that goes along with that or anything for like the members or whatnot?
I will be creating one at the moment. That's actually what I'm working on right now. Is just creating a Facebook group that everyone that is in the course, you do receive my personal one-on-one assistance. So if you're in the course, you get the lifetime long content along with the other resources and stuff along those lines. And you also get my one-on-one assistance. And I will be creating a Facebook group as well, so you can network with other private label sellers that are in kind of the same position, time frame that you're in as well.
How does a one-on-one assistance work?
So it's going to be through email, and it's only for a limited time because, I mean, as I get too many people in there, if that
Right, yeah.
that'd be amazing. But, yeah, I'm for a limited time. People that are rolling in my course, you're going to get my one-on-one assistance. So, I mean, everyone's Amazon business is different. Everyone has different products, different problems. And if you can't figure it out on your own, just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
So like, for example, if somebody's like researching a product and, you know, they have Jungle Scout and they're not sure if they should go with it, would you look over it for them and give them like the thumbs?
For sure. I mean, I would go into Jungle Scout. I'd give them my best answer that I possibly could. If they have 3 or 4 products they're thinking about, I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you what I think of that product. So
Do I still get that since I had free access to it?
yes, you do.
Yes. Well, that's super cool, man.
I got you.
I appreciate it. What about your friends, man? Are you going to hook them up if they want the course? I mean, there's 2 schools of thought, man. Like if you give somebody a course for free, like a friend, it's almost like they don't have any like skin in the game. And then it's like, I don't have to do it. But then if you charge them, it's kind of like tough love where it's like, you know, now there's skin in the game. Now they have to like, they don't want to like not go through it because they, you know, they spent a couple $100 on it. So
I haven't fully decided that yet. I mean, they already
that's a tough one
because if they go to the same school with me, literally they can just walk into my class, find me in the hall, ask me, "Hey, this product good? Hey, what do I do to they can just bother me at school." And so I don't think it'd be too bad for me to charge them. Maybe I'll give a family and friend discount if you know what I mean. But I definitely help them out, and they already have an advantage if they get to speak to me in person and get my personal experience up front.
Yeah, don't get caught like passing around notes, man, about product research and Jungle Scout, because if the teacher I'm
not trying to give away his product, you know, it's up to him.
The teacher brings it up and opens it up like, "Okay, Carter, we're gonna read this. You think you could just pass notes around the classroom?" She brings it up and it's like,
yeah,
$12.99 for fidget spinners. Like, what?
I mean, if you guys can make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, and if I can get enough followers and stuff, start watching me. I'm already like helping out different. There's a basketball coach from another school that's really interested in what I'm doing. I'm like, you know what, man, sit down with me. I want to help other people, and I just want to pass it on.
Awesome, man. Well, do you have any final words of wisdom for everybody? We've covered a lot of content and just a lot of information. Just It's really cool, man. 17 years old, having all the success, and you're obviously super bright. Like, any final advice for somebody who wants to get started, or maybe they're nervous, or maybe they've launched their first product and they haven't had any success? Like, anything you'd like to tell the folks who are listening on iTunes and on YouTube?
Yeah, so I mean, my words of wisdom is just like stick with it and make sure you take action. There's a lot of people that just suck in a lot of information. They'll read a ton of blogs, watch a ton of YouTube videos, but they'll never take action. They'll never apply what they learned to their business, either because maybe they don't have enough money or they're just too scared to take the risk. Guys, nothing is going to happen if you don't take the risk, if you don't put the time in learning the business and growing it over time. Like, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight. You're not going to get rich overnight. It's a consistent process of just running the business and learning over time. So it's my words of wisdom.
I love it, man. Hey, Carter Maxwell coming in, representing, 17 years old. Really appreciate you sharing all the information. Again, if you guys haven't already, do us a big favor, do me a big favor and go over to his YouTube channel and show him some support. It's the High School Hustler. It's going to be the first link down below. He's got information about private label, Amazon information, selling books, all different types of stuff. We need to encourage this type of behavior. And, the earlier that we can become entrepreneurs, the easier we could change this world, man. And I'm telling you, entrepreneurs, they run this world. So you gotta give credit where credit's due. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, thanks. And maybe we could get you on another time to do some like Jungle Scout research or something. That might be fun.
Awesome. I'd love to, man. I'd love to.
All right, guys. Appreciate you watching, and have a great day. Thank you.